We've all heard Matt's version of why the kids didn't get the farm. Now, for the first time, we're going to hear what was really said behind those closed doors. Amy Roloff was recording everything. For years, the narrative has been carefully controlled, painted with a brush that showed Amy as bitter, demanding, and the primary obstacle to her sons, Zach and Jeremy, taking over their portion of the Roloff legacy. Matt Roloff, with Caryn Chandler by his side, has cultivated an image of a reasonable businessman, a father who simply wanted a fair price for his life's work. They've suggested the boys just weren't serious, that their offers were disrespectful. But a storm is brewing over Roloff Farms, and insider reports suggest the entire story we've been fed is about to be systematically dismantled, piece by painful piece, by the one person who saw it all coming. Before we dive into the shocking evidence that is reportedly rocking the Roloff family to its core, make sure you hit that subscribe button and turn on all notifications for LPBW update. You are not going to want to miss a single second of this developing story. This is the update that changes everything. Click that like button to help us push this incredible story out to more viewers who deserve to know the truth. Let's start by revisiting the foundational lie, the story that has become the accepted truth for so many viewers. The official line, repeated in interviews, on the show, and across Matt's social media, is that the farm deals fell through because Amy's buyout demands left the farm financially strapped, and later, the sons' offers were simply not in the ballpark of the property's true value. Caryn has been portrayed as a supportive partner, a steady hand guiding Matt through the emotional turmoil of divesting from his past. She was just an employee, then a girlfriend, then a fiancé who wanted what was best for Matt. She often lamented how sad it was that the boys couldn't reach an agreement with their father, shaking her head at the tragedy of it all. This narrative was incredibly effective. It positioned Matt as the victim of both a difficult ex-wife and entitled sons, with Caryn as his loyal defender. It was a simple, believable story, and for years it worked. But what if that entire narrative was a carefully constructed fiction? What if the person accused of being the problem was actually the only one trying to find a solution? Sources close to the family are now alleging that Amy Roloff, years before the final negotiations with Zach and Jeremy even began, sensed that her words were being twisted. She reportedly noticed a pattern. Private conversations she had with Matt would be repeated back to her days later by Caryn, but the meaning would be subtly, poisonously altered. A reasonable concern about logistics would be reframed as an emotional outburst. A question about finances would be presented as an accusation. Insiders claim Amy felt like she was going crazy, constantly being told she had said things she hadn't, or that her intentions were malicious when they were not. It was a classic case of gaslighting, and it was happening long before the cameras were rolling. Knowing she couldn't trust the narrative being spun around her, Amy allegedly made a decision that would prove to be monumental. She purchased a small, discreet digital voice recorder. It was the size of a pen, easily slipped into a pocket or a purse. From that point on, according to these explosive new reports, every single meeting, every phone call, every conversation related to the farm's future, the buyout, and the subsequent negotiations with her sons was recorded. She wasn't doing it for a gotcha moment, a source insists. She was doing it for her own sanity, to have a record of the truth, a way to confirm that she wasn't misremembering, that her words were indeed being warped. She was creating an insurance policy, not just for herself, but for the legacy she wanted to leave for her children. She has, we are told, amassed hundreds of hours of crystal clear audio, a secret archive of the unvarnished truth. For years, that archive remained sealed. Amy moved off the farm, started her new life with Chris, and tried to move on, even as the public narrative continued to paint her as the villain in the farm's story. The breaking point, according to our sources, came recently. Matt and Caryn, in an effort to finally put the issue to bed and justify their decision to sell a portion of the farm to outsiders, began to selectively release what they claimed was proof of Amy's difficult behavior. They allegedly presented a series of emails and text message screenshots to a friendly media outlet. The emails we're now hearing were manipulated. Key sentences that provided context were deleted, making Amy's request seem abrupt and demanding. For instance, an email where Amy reportedly wrote, "Matt, before we agree on this price, can we please have a clear breakdown of the equipment assets included? It's just for my own records to ensure a clean split," was allegedly edited to simply read, "I won't agree on this price." The meaning is transformed from a reasonable request for due diligence into a stubborn refusal. The text messages were even more insidious. Insiders claim Caryn would take screenshots of conversations, carefully cropping them to remove her own provocative statements or Zach's and Jeremy's clarifying questions. A text from Zach saying, "Hey, can we talk about the North Acreage access road? Just want to make sure we're on the same page," might be presented to Matt as simply, "We need to talk about the North Acreage," making it sound like a confrontational demand rather than a collaborative question. It was a death by 1,000 paper cuts, a campaign of misrepresentation designed to alienate Matt from his own children and solidify Caryn's position as his sole trusted advisor. When this proof was published, Matt and Caryn likely thought they had won. They had finally provided the public with a tangible reason to blame Amy and the kids. They underestimated Amy. They had no idea that for every edited email, she had an unedited audio recording of the conversation that preceded it. For every cropped text message, she had a full recording of the phone call where the issue was discussed calmly and rationally. She had the ultimate truth, and she was finally ready to use it. In a move that has sent shockwaves through the LPBW community, Amy, through her legal team, has begun to release these recordings. And the centerpiece, the smoking gun that blows the entire official narrative to pieces, is a 45-minute audio file from a negotiation meeting with Zach. On the tape, you can hear the scrape of chairs, the clink of coffee cups. The atmosphere is tense but professional. Zach is there with a formal offer for the north side of the farm, the part with the memories, the tree house, the woods he grew up in. His voice is clear and steady. He lays out his offer, which sources now confirm was based on a private appraisal he had commissioned. It was a fair market value offer, a serious proposal from a son who desperately wanted to raise his own children on the land where he was raised. On the recording, you can hear Matt's reaction. He's not angry. He's not insulted. He sounds like a businessman considering a deal. He says, "Okay, Zach, that's a solid number, a lot to think about. Let me sit with this, run it by the accountant, and we'll talk again next week." It is a completely normal, reasonable response. Zach thanks him, and you can hear him leaving the room. The door closes. There's a moment of silence. And then Caryn's voice cuts through the quiet. It's a voice viewers have never heard before. The cheerful, supportive tone is gone. It is replaced by a cold, calculating whisper. She says to Matt, "He's trying to lowball you. He really is. After everything you've done for him, he thinks you're a fool. He sees you as an old man he can take advantage of. Don't let him do this to you, Matt. It's insulting. I'll handle it." The tape continues to roll. Matt, seemingly influenced by Caryn's words, just mumbles something in agreement. Then you hear Caryn pick up the phone. She dials Zach, who couldn't have been more than 5 minutes down the road. When he answers, her voice has transformed again. It's now filled with feigned disappointment and concern. "Zach," she says, her voice dripping with false sympathy, "I don't know what to say. Your dad is well. He's deeply insulted by your offer. He feels like you don't respect the 30 years of work he's put into this place. He's really hurt. I think you really damaged your relationship with him today." The recording is devastating. It's irrefutable proof of a calculated, malicious lie. It proves that Caryn, not Zach, was the one who framed the offer as an insult. It proves she took a normal business negotiation and twisted it into a personal attack, deliberately poisoning the well and creating a rift between father and son. She didn't handle it, she sabotaged it. And Amy recorded the entire damning exchange. This single audio file obliterates years of speculation. It wasn't about Amy's bitterness. It wasn't about the sons being entitled. It was about one woman's alleged systematic campaign to isolate Matt Roloff and, for reasons of her own, ensure that his children would never, ever own a piece of that farm. The release of this tape was just the first domino to fall. The story was already explosive, but no one could have predicted the next development. Just as Matt and Caryn were likely scrambling to do damage control, a key figure from the farm's past decided that his conscience would no longer allow him to stay silent. The farm's longtime real estate appraiser, a man named Bill Henderson, who had worked with Matt for over 2 decades, came forward. He was the man Matt had hired to put an official value on the property, the value that Matt would later claim his son's offers didn't even come close to. In a sworn affidavit released by Amy's legal team, Mr. Henderson revealed something that adds a new, potentially criminal layer to this entire saga. He testified that he had conducted a thorough, by-the-book appraisal of the farm property, arriving at a fair market value that was, he stated, well within the range of the offers both Zach and Jeremy had made. He had submitted this official report to Matt, but that's not where it ended. According to Henderson's sworn testimony, a few days later, he received a call from Caryn Chandler. She allegedly told him that Matt was unhappy with the appraisal and that they needed a stronger number for public-facing purposes. Henderson claims Caryn pressured him, implying that his future business with Roloff Farms depended on his cooperation. She asked him to generate a second, separate appraisal report, one that used different, less common comparison properties and more speculative valuations to arrive at a significantly inflated number. This second appraisal, Henderson testifies, was a work of fiction, created solely to make Matt's asking price seem reasonable and his son's legitimate offers appear insulting. He provided both documents to Amy's lawyers, the original, legitimate appraisal, and the second, inflated one Caryn allegedly pressured him into creating. The difference in value was reportedly over $1 million. This revelation is a bombshell. It's no longer just about family drama or hurt feelings. The internal betrayal twist elevates the situation from a personal dispute to a potential conspiracy to commit fraud. The appraiser's testimony provides a motive and a mechanism for Caryn's sabotage. It wasn't enough to lie about Zach's offer being insulting. She allegedly needed a fraudulent document to back up that lie to the world. She needed to create a paper trail that would justify Matt's position and paint his sons as greedy and unrealistic. The 2 pieces of evidence, the secret audio recording and the 2 appraisals, fit together like a lock and key. The tape proves Caryn manufactured the emotional conflict, and the appraisal documents prove she manufactured the financial justification for that conflict. The legal ramifications are escalating at a terrifying speed. Upon the release of the audio and the appraiser's affidavit, we are hearing that Zach and Jeremy have jointly filed a lawsuit against Caryn Chandler for tortious interference. This legal claim essentially argues that Caryn, as a third party, intentionally and maliciously interfered with their business expectancy and contractual relationship with their father regarding the farm sale, causing them significant financial and emotional damages. They aren't just suing for money, they are suing to have the truth officially recognized in a court of law. But the civil suit may soon be the least of Caryn's and possibly Matt's worries. The appraiser's sworn testimony about being pressured to create a fraudulent document has reportedly triggered something far more serious. Sources are indicating that the local district attorney's office has opened a preliminary investigation into Caryn Chandler and Matt Roloff for conspiracy to commit real estate fraud. If it can be proven that they knowingly used an intentionally inflated appraisal to mislead any party in a real estate transaction, or even to publicly defame the character of the other parties in the negotiation, they could be facing serious criminal charges. The very foundation of Matt's public persona as a savvy but fair businessman is crumbling, and he risks being pulled into a criminal investigation, all because he allegedly trusted the woman by his side. The question is no longer just who sabotaged the farm sale. The evidence seems to be pointing overwhelmingly in one direction. The new, more chilling questions are, what was the endgame? Why would Caryn allegedly go to such lengths, manipulation, fabrication, and potentially criminal fraud, to keep the sons from owning their family's land? Was it about control? Was it about ensuring her own financial future with Matt, free from the complications of his children having a stake in the property? Or was it something more personal, a deep-seated resentment we never saw on camera? And the biggest question of all now falls on Matt Roloff. For years, he has stood by this story. He has defended Caryn, echoed her talking points, and publicly expressed his disappointment in his sons. Was he a master manipulator himself, a willing and active partner in this entire scheme? Or was he a tragic figure, a man so blinded by his trust in his partner that he allowed her to systematically destroy his relationship with his own children? Was he a victim of Caryn's manipulation, or was he her co-conspirator? The Roloff family, as we know it, is over. The carefully crafted image presented on television for over a decade has been shattered. What is rising from the ashes is a story of deceit, betrayal, and devastating family secrets, all captured on a secret digital recorder. The unedited audio, the dueling appraisals, the looming threat of lawsuits and criminal charges. This is the real, little people. Big world. It's a battle for legacy, truth, and now, potentially, for freedom. The farm sale was never just about business, it was about the heart of a family. And the evidence now suggests that heart was deliberately and methodically broken. The fallout from the release of Amy's secret recordings and the appraiser's bombshell affidavit has been nothing short of catastrophic for the carefully constructed world of Matt Roloff and Caryn Chandler. A deafening silence has fallen over their social media accounts, a stark contrast to their usual stream of happy farm projects and romantic getaways. Sources inside their camp describe a state of frantic panic, with lawyers on speed dial, intense, hushed conversations replacing the easy laughter that once filled their new dream home. They are reportedly hunkered down, attempting to formulate a strategy, but how do you strategize against the unedited, undeniable truth of your own voice caught on tape? Plotting a betrayal. How do you refute a sworn statement from a professional you yourself hired? The fortress Matt and Caryn built around their narrative is not just breached, it has been leveled to the ground. On the other side of this new, bitter divide, the reaction has been a groundswell of vindication. For Amy Roloff, it is the end of a nightmare that has lasted for over a decade. For years, she has endured the whispers, the online attacks from viewers who bought the official story, the quiet judgment that painted her as the difficult ex-wife who couldn't let go. We're hearing from friends that she feels not triumphant, but profoundly sad. Sad that it came to this, sad for her children, and sad for the man she was once married to, who she now sees as a man completely lost to the influence of another. Chris Marek has been her rock, a steady presence who, according to insiders, always suspected the full extent of Caryn's manipulation and encouraged Amy to hold on to her evidence, not for revenge, but for the day the truth would be required. For Zach and Jeremy, The feeling is one of deep, soul-crushing validation mixed with unimaginable pain. They now have proof that their gut feelings were right, that the negotiations felt off for a reason, that the sudden coldness from their father wasn't just about business, but that proof comes at the cost of confirming their father either stood by and watched as his partner dismantled his family or was an active participant in the deception. The brothers, once estranged themselves, are now said to be united as never before, bonded by this shared betrayal and a common cause, to reclaim their family's story and hold Caryn Chandler accountable. But as the legal storm gathers, the question that echoes through the entire LPBW community is a simple one. Why? What could possibly motivate someone to orchestrate such a deep, prolonged, and calculated sabotage of a family? The answer, according to various theories now circulating among former farm employees and family insiders, is a toxic cocktail of greed, control, and deep-seated insecurity. Let's first examine the most straightforward motive, the financial one. One prevailing theory, which sources say Zach and Jeremy's legal team is actively investigating, centers on Matt Roloff's estate and Caryn's future. Had the sons successfully purchased their portions of the farm, a significant portion of Matt's liquid assets and primary real estate holdings would have been transferred to the next generation. While Matt would have been financially secure, Caryn's potential inheritance and her control over the farm's future would have been significantly diluted. An insider puts it bluntly, Caryn didn't want to be the woman who inherited a pile of cash. She wanted to be the woman who inherited the farm, the whole farm. She saw Zach and Jeremy not as sons continuing a legacy, but as business rivals carving up her future empire. According to this theory, every move she made was to ensure that the property remained whole under Matt's ownership so that upon his death or incapacitation, control would pass to her, not his children. She allegedly saw the farm not as a family birthright, but as the ultimate prize in her relationship with Matt, and she was not going to let his kids get in the way. Then there is the Queen of the Castle theory, which focuses on power and control. For years, Caryn Chandler was an employee, the farm manager. She watched Amy Roloff act as the matriarch, the mother, the wife who had built this farm alongside her husband. When Amy left, Caryn stepped into a vacuum, but the shadow of Amy and the legacy she built with her children was everywhere. The farmhouse was Amy's house. The pumpkin patch was filled with memories of Amy and the kids. The sons, Zach and Jeremy, represented a direct living link to that past. A source who worked on the farm during that transition period claims Caryn was obsessed with erasing Amy. She would constantly suggest changes to things Amy had designed or implemented. When she pushed Matt to build the new house, it wasn't just about needing a new place. It was about creating a headquarters on the property that had no trace of Amy's influence. By systematically ensuring the sons could not buy the farm, Caryn was, in effect, performing a final exorcism of the old Roloff family. If the sons were gone, their children wouldn't be running around the property, creating new memories tied to the Roloff bloodline. The farm would become the Roloff Chandler farm, with her as the undisputed new matriarch. It was a power play of the highest order. A third, more personal theory suggests a motive rooted in deep-seated resentment and jealousy. Caryn watched the unbreakable bond between Matt and his children for years. She saw a history she could never be a part of. Every story that started with, "Remember when the kids," and I was a reminder that she was a late addition to the story. This theory posits that Caryn grew to resent the sons' inherent place in Matt's life and heart. She couldn't compete with their history, so she decided to destroy their future. By portraying them as greedy, disrespectful, and ungrateful, she could poison Matt's perception of them, making herself seem like the only one who truly understood and supported him. She became his protector against his own ungrateful children. a classic manipulation tactic. The audio recording of her telling Matt he thinks you're a fool is the perfect example. She wasn't just sabotaging a deal. She was reframing a son's love as disrespect, severing the emotional bond between them to strengthen her own. The trove of evidence Amy Roloff is holding is reportedly far more extensive than just the one 45-minute recording. We are now hearing that other tapes are being prepared for release by her legal team, each one painting an even more damning picture of a pattern of behavior. Another recording has now surfaced, this one from the separate negotiations with Jeremy Roloff. Jeremy, known for his entrepreneurial spirit, had reportedly come to Matt not just with an offer to buy, but with a comprehensive 50-page business plan detailing how he would expand the farm's operations, introduce new revenue streams like a farmer's market and educational workshops, and preserve the legacy for the next generation. The audio from the meeting itself is, much like the meeting with Zach, professional and promising. Matt sounds genuinely impressed by Jeremy's vision, telling him, "This is really thought out, Jer. You've put a lot of work into this." But again, the crucial part of the recording is what happens after Jeremy leaves. Caryn's voice comes on the tape, this time with a tone of mocking condescension. She's heard telling Matt, "A 50-page plan? Oh, that's cute. It's a childish fantasy, Matt. He thinks running a farm is like one of his artsy photo projects. He'll run it into the ground in 5 years. You'll have to bail him out. Is that what you want? To see everything you've built get turned into some hippie commune?" She systematically dismantled every aspect of Jeremy's proposal, not with financial data or business logic, but with personal attacks and fear-mongering. She positioned his ambition as naivete and his vision as a threat to Matt's legacy. A few days later, Matt called Jeremy and rejected the proposal, using language eerily similar to Caryn's, telling his son his plan was not realistic. The pattern is undeniable. With Zach, she used the angle of disrespect. With Jeremy, she used the angle of incompetence. Different methods, but the same goal: ensure the deal collapses and the son is alienated. Further details are also emerging from the appraiser's sworn affidavit. Bill Henderson's statement reportedly includes direct quotes from his phone call with Caryn. He testifies that she told him, "Bill, Matt needs a number that reflects his life's work, not just the market. We need a document for the public that shows the boys are being unreasonable. Make the numbers sing Matt's tune." This single sentence, if true, demonstrates clear intent to create a fraudulent document for the specific purpose of misleading the public and defaming Matt's own children. It moves beyond manipulation into the realm of a criminal conspiracy. Henderson also stated that Caryn assured him the real appraisal would be kept private for banking purposes, and the public appraisal was just for negotiating leverage and PR. He admits he was deeply uncomfortable but felt his long-term contract with the farm was on the line. His testimony provides the motive, the method, and the direct link back to Caryn as the architect of the scheme. The legal battle, once a distant threat, is now a full-blown war. The tortious interference lawsuit filed by Zach and Jeremy, case number 72C-24 in Washington County Circuit Court, is not just a symbolic gesture. We have learned they are seeking $5 million in punitive damages against Caryn Chandler, plus additional compensation for the loss of business opportunity and emotional distress. Their legal team is arguing that Caryn's actions were not only intentional but malicious, designed to cause maximum damage to their familial and financial prospects. They are preparing to subpoena years of phone records, emails, and financial documents from both Caryn and Matt, looking to prove a clear pattern of deliberate interference. Meanwhile, the criminal investigation is reportedly gaining momentum. Legal experts are weighing in, suggesting that potential charges could include not only real estate fraud, but also wire fraud, as the alleged conspiracy involved the use of phone calls and emails to transmit fraudulent information across state lines. The potential penalties are severe, including hefty fines and even prison time. The most explosive new rumor, coming from a source close to the investigation, is that Matt Roloff's legal team has made initial, informal contact with the district attorney's office. The speculation is that Matt, seeing the overwhelming evidence against Caryn, may be exploring the possibility of a plea deal. Is he preparing to turn on Caryn to save himself? Would he testify against his own fiancée to avoid prosecution? This internal betrayal twist, if it proves true, would be the ultimate tragic conclusion to this saga. Matt Roloff, who for years publicly stood by Caryn, may be forced to choose between his freedom and his partner, the very partner who allegedly orchestrated this entire mess. The fallout is rippling through the entire extended family. We're hearing that Jacob Roloff, long the family's most outspoken and estranged member, has been in constant contact with his mother and brothers, offering his unequivocal support. He reportedly feels vindicated, having long voiced his distrust of the show's manufactured reality and the motivations of those involved. He sees this not just as a family dispute, but as a confirmation of his long-held beliefs about authenticity and exploitation. Molly, always the most private of the Roloff children, is said to be quietly devastated, but firmly on the side of her mother and brothers. The lines have been drawn, and Matt and Caryn find themselves on an island. Now, with this new, devastating context, we must go back and re-examine key moments from the show. Think about all the scenes where Caryn offered her supportive opinion on the farm negotiations. That scene by the fire pit where she told Matt, "You just have to do what's right for you," now feels chilling. Was she counseling him, or was she planting a seed of selfishness, encouraging him to prioritize himself over his children's legacy? Remember her on-camera statement that she would never live in Amy's old farmhouse, framing it as a desire for a fresh start? In hindsight, was it a simple preference or a clear declaration that the matriarchal seat was now hers, and any structure representing the old family had to be rendered irrelevant? Every sympathetic nod, every concerned look she gave the cameras when the topic of the kids in the farm came up now looks like a performance. She wasn't a bystander consoling her partner. She was an arsonist pretending to be a firefighter, feigning sadness over a blaze she herself had set. The future of Roloff Farms is now more uncertain than ever. Can a place that was once a symbol of family unity and entrepreneurial spirit ever recover from being the epicenter of such profound deceit? The very soil seems tainted by the lies. The for sale sign that Matt once erected on a portion of the property has become a monument to this family's implosion. What started as a dispute over inheritance has metastasized into a sprawling saga of alleged fraud, legal battles, and the complete moral collapse of a family patriarch. The story is far from over. Subpoenas will be issued, depositions will be taken, and more secrets will undoubtedly be unearthed from the mountain of evidence Amy Roloff has been quietly compiling for years. We are witnessing the complete deconstruction of a reality TV dynasty, live and in real time. After hearing this evidence, after understanding the depth of the alleged deception, we are all left to grapple with the central question: who do you think really wanted to keep the farm from the kids? The evidence points to Caryn as the architect, but it was Matt's signature on the final decision. It was his voice on the phone, rejecting his son's offers. So, was Matt a gullible, aging man, completely manipulated and blinded by a calculating partner? Or was he a willing co-conspirator, fully aware of the scheme and happy to have Caryn do the dirty work, allowing him to maintain a thin veneer of plausible deniability? Was he a victim or was he a villain? Sound off below. The silence from the Roloff Chandler camp was never going to last. In the world of public relations, a vacuum is created to be filled, and as the dam of evidence against them bursts, Caryn Chandler has reportedly chosen her strategy: launch a desperate, scorched earth counteroffensive. We are now seeing the first coordinated pushback, a series of exclusive leaks to friendly online blogs and tabloids designed to muddy the waters and repaint Caryn as the true victim. This isn't about refuting the evidence. It's about creating chaos, a smokescreen of he said, she said, so thick that the average viewer might just throw up their hands and decide the truth is impossible to find. Her counterattack is centered on a predictable but insidious narrative, that of the bitter ex-wife. The new leaks consist of carefully selected text messages and email snippets from years ago, all taken completely out of context, intended to portray Amy as demanding and unstable during the original farm buyout negotiations. We're seeing screenshots of texts where Amy uses firm language about financial deadlines, cropped to exclude the context of Matt having missed 3 previous deadlines. We're seeing a snippet of an email where Amy insists on using her own lawyer to review documents, framed as a sign of distrust rather than what it was: standard, prudent legal practice during a multi-million-dollar divorce settlement. The centerpiece of Caryn's counter-narrative, according to these friendly outlets, is an audio clip of her own. It's a grainy, almost inaudible voicemail, allegedly from Amy to a friend years ago, where Amy is clearly upset and venting about the stress of the divorce. Caryn's camp is pushing this as proof of Amy's long-standing emotional instability, arguing that Amy's new recordings are not the work of a meticulous planner, but the vindictive act of a woman who has been plotting revenge for years. It's a classic gaslighter's defense. When your actions are exposed, attack the sanity and motives of the person who exposed you. But this strategy is reportedly backfiring spectacularly. Legal analysts are pointing out that a secret recording of a private business meeting is legally distinct from a possibly illegally obtained voicemail of a personal conversation. Furthermore, Amy's recordings are clear, contextual, and directly related to the business at hand. Caryn's evidence is blurry, personal, and feels like a desperate character assassination attempt, which, to many, only reinforces the belief that she has something to hide. While Caryn is on the attack, the situation inside their newly built dream home is reportedly deteriorating into a nightmare. The walls of that house, meant to be a fortress for their future, are now said to be closing in. Sources close to the household staff describe a palpable tension, a toxic atmosphere of fear and accusation. Shouting matches are allegedly a near-daily occurrence, with Matt and Caryn turning on each other under immense pressure. The core of the conflict, we're told, is Matt's potential plea deal. The rumor that his lawyers have initiated contact with the DA's office is no longer a rumor. It's the elephant in every room of their house. Matt Roloff is a pragmatist. He is a businessman who, above all else, understands leverage and self-preservation. He is staring down the barrel of a multi-million-dollar civil lawsuit and a potential criminal indictment. His brand, his life's work, and his personal freedom are on the line. Caryn, on the other hand, is fighting for her reputation and her position, but Matt is fighting for everything. And according to an insider, Matt is beginning to see that the evidence Amy has is not just a single smoking gun, but an entire arsenal. He is reportedly panicked, realizing that Caryn's assurances that she handled it have led him to the edge of a cliff. The arguments are supposedly centered on this point. Matt accuses Caryn of overplaying her hand and bringing this disaster upon them, while Caryn accuses Matt of being weak and considering a betrayal, of not being willing to stand by her after she only ever tried to protect him. Their dream home has become a prison of their own making, a pressure cooker of paranoia and regret. The legal gears, meanwhile, are grinding forward with terrifying momentum. The civil lawsuit has entered the discovery phase, and this is where the true damage will be done. Amy and the Sun's legal team have reportedly filed a series of sweeping subpoenas. They are demanding every email, text message, and phone record between Caryn Chandler and Matt Roloff, mentioning Zach, Jeremy, or Amy for the past 7 years. They are subpoenaing financial records, bank statements, and communication between Caryn and the farm's accountants. They are seeking to depose under oath not only Matt and Caryn, but also key farm employees from that period, including the one who allegedly witnessed Caryn telling Matt she needed to manage the boys' expectations. And during this initial discovery process, another bombshell has been unearthed, one that comes directly from Caryn's own digital footprint. Amy's legal team has reportedly recovered a deleted email sent from Caryn's personal account to a close friend a week after Jeremy presented his 50-page business plan. The email is a stunning confession of her motives. In it, she writes, "I just can't have them back here. I can't. After everything I went through to get Amy out of the big house and finally make this place ours, I am not going to spend my golden years as Matt's girlfriend playing second fiddle to his sons and their wives. It's my farm now, my life. They need to go have their own lives somewhere else." I told Matt the plan was a joke, and thankfully, he's starting to see things my way. This email is in many ways even more damning than the audio recordings. The recordings show what she did. This email shows why she did it. It lays bare the jealousy, the insecurity, and the raw, territorial ambition that fueled her entire campaign. It proves, in her own words, that her actions were not about protecting Matt or getting a fair price for the farm. They were about eliminating her perceived rivals for control of the property and of Matt's life. It was a premeditated, emotionally driven campaign to secure her position as the new and only matriarch of Roloff Farms. This email has reportedly been filed with the court as Exhibit A in the tortious interference case, and it all but guarantees Caryn will be deposed for hours about her exact meaning. As if this weren't enough, we are now learning of yet another audio file Amy has in her possession, one that predates the farm sale negotiations entirely. This recording is from a conversation between Amy and Matt shortly after their divorce was finalized, as they were trying to navigate their new awkward co-ownership of the farm. On the tape, Matt sounds agitated. He tells Amy that Caryn has been telling him things. He says, "Caryn says you've been driving past her place at night. She says you're having people spy on us. She's telling me you're trying to turn the kids against her." Amy's voice on the recording is one of pure, shocked confusion. "Matt, what are you talking about? I'm living my life. I haven't driven past her house once. Why would I do that? Why are you listening to this?" This recording is crucial because it establishes that Caryn's campaign of poisoning the well didn't start with the farm sale. It started years earlier. It was a long-term strategy to create a narrative of a crazy, jealous ex-wife, thereby isolating Matt from Amy's influence and making him distrustful of her. Long before any major business decisions had to be made, she was laying the groundwork for her eventual takeover, brick by poisonous brick. The network, TLC, is reportedly in full-blown crisis mode. The wholesome, family-friendly brand of Little People, Big World, is now associated with fraud, conspiracy, and a level of familial betrayal that is shocking even by reality TV standards. Sources inside the production company say that filming for the new season has been thrown into chaos. How can they film scenes of Matt and Caryn picking out flowers for the garden when a criminal investigation is unfolding in the background? The network faces a terrible choice: ignore the biggest story in the show's history and lose all credibility, or lean into it and document the complete self-destruction of their flagship family, potentially becoming evidence in a criminal trial. We're hearing that contract clauses are being frantically reviewed. The pressure to cancel the show entirely is mounting, not just from viewers, but from advertisers who do not want their products associated with a potential criminal fraud case. The Roloff dynasty isn't just falling apart, it's threatening to take the entire show down with it. But beyond the legal filings and network panic, the true cost of this saga is being measured in stolen moments and broken dreams. It's being felt by Tori Roloff, who is now left to explain to her son Jackson why he can't go explore the pirate ship his grandpa built, the land he thought would one day be his playground. It's being felt by Audrey Roloff, who once dreamed of raising her children Ember and Bode on the same soil where their father grew up, a dream that was allegedly sabotaged by the woman who wanted that soil for herself. This was never just about a property transaction. It was about the theft of a birthright. It was about grandchildren who will never get to experience the magic of the farm in the way their parents did because of a web of lies spun from insecurity and greed. The legacy of Roloff Farms, a place that brought joy to millions of viewers and was supposed to be a haven for generations of Roloffs to come, has been irrevocably tarnished. It is now a symbol of division, a crime scene marking the spot where a family was torn apart. The truth is a snowball rolling downhill, gathering speed and size with every new revelation. And for Matt Roloff and Caryn Chandler, an avalanche is coming.